Welcome, everybody. We're so glad that you took time out of your day to spend with us looking at how things are going in Mineral Wells ISD and with their usage of ClassLink. We're going to do a quick overview before we let them start sharing with us. Our goal is to highlight the perspectives of various ClassLink users as they share the impact of a single sign-on in their usage of their resources. District leaders from Mineral Wells are here to share their single sign-on selection, their implementation process, and their rollout process. We have 2 teachers and 2 students who are going to discuss the benefits they enjoy from having an instant access to their digital resources. And we'll end with a discussion around the roster server and how using the One Roster Open Data Standard reduces burdens on their technology departments and encourages districts to achieve this digital day one status, which is the concept of students and teachers being able to access their digital resources on the first day of instruction. We're going to leave time at the end for you to ask the panel questions, so feel free to submit those questions at any time. Okay, let's begin by getting to know more about our Mineral Wells ISD district partnership. David and Jana Lee, please introduce yourselves and share a little bit about Mineral Wells ISD.
Good afternoon, I'm David Ostreicher, and Mineral Wells ISD is a smallish district. We are located west of Fort Worth in the DFW area in Texas, about 50 miles west of Fort Worth. We have 5 schools with 3,300 students across our 5 schools. And let me see. Oh yes, about our current tech environment. Our pre-K students have iPad minis, and then 1st through 6th grade has Chromebooks in the classroom, 1 for every 2 students, and then our 7th through 12th graders have a take-home one-to-one Chromebooks at this time. And we also use the ClassLink quick cards for our pre-K through 3rd graders as well.
Thank you, David. We're going to give those of you who are unfamiliar with ClassLink a brief overview of its basic functions. One thing that our users tell us sets us apart and we're very proud of is that this past spring we celebrated our 20th anniversary. And for all those 20 years, we have always served the education market. We've never been in any other market, and it truly is our goal to create a product that is most useful in the K-12 market. We have won a lot of awards that we're really proud of. We won 5 Cody Awards this last year, but the one that speaks the most loudly to me as a former educator is our Ease of Use Award. And we also have some really valuable partnerships in the K-12 space because of our, not only our many years in this space, but also because of our ClassLink development in these large districts that you may see across the top. This is just a smattering of a few. They're probably, however, the most recognizable to those of you who are watching. So what does ClassLink do? For our end users, our students, teachers, faculty, and staff, ClassLink is a single, one-click access into all your applications. And within that same interface, it's going to give you that one-click access into all your file storage locations. Not only your cloud services, but also your network folders if you're still using those. And it not only gives you access, but it allows you to drag and drop between them and search across all of them. And then we have a very robust analytics feature that will give decision makers in the district and educational leaders in the district insight into exactly what's being used across the district down to the user. You can see it by group, you can see it by campus, or you can drill down into the user and see exactly what's being used. On the back end, for our technology staffs, we have our roster server, which is built on the One Roster Open Standard, which will automate your rostering process. And we've recently added a new service, which is our One Sync server, which is an identity automation creation feature, which will allow you to create your Active Directory, Google Directory, and a 365 Azure directory from your student information system, HR system, or any a CSV file format. And then for your outward-facing users, your community, your parents, we provide a public portal that shows your community what is being used in the school district, how it's being used, what platforms it's best used on, and any security information that the district wants to share with their community. And last, we have a parent portal that also is included with ClassLink that will allow you to put resources for your parents in one location, where they will also be able to access all those resources with one single sign-on. Resources such as the grade book, the lunch pay system, the menu, bus routes, all those kinds of things that parents need to have access to easily. We also offer many ways to sign into ClassLink, which is a feature that our partners tell us is important to them. We take whatever measures that you're currently using to log in and apply those to ClassLink, and they can be multiple measures. You can log in with AD, Google, Azure, ADFS, SAML. You can use social media logins for your parent portal, and you can also offer two-factor authentication for those accounts that need to have extra secure measures applied to them. We allow younger students, as David referred to use quick cards so that those who don't have mastery of the keyboard or their alphabet yet can log in quickly. And we also allow facial recognition for those same younger students or perhaps your special needs students who have difficulty mastering the keyboard. And we also offer a remote login application that will allow you to log in from your cell phone remotely if you need to. And down in the bottom corner, you'll also see that we offer self-service password reset should you choose to use it to reset your passwords for Active Directory. And we have over 6,000 single sign-on connections that are already built within ClassLink, which again, our partners tell us is very important to them because they have access into everything that they use, not just some things that they use. And one of the reasons that we're able to provide that is because we build those connections based on the technology that the publishers and vendors are using to develop their products. So we don't tell anyone we can only do SAML or LTI, or it has to be done with a custom connection. Anything that those vendors are using is what we're going to build the connection in, which gives our users like Mineral Wells ISD access to everything they use instead of just a few things. Okay, David and Jana Lee, in this area, we would like for you to share with us the reasons that you were looking for a single sign-on, how you were dealing prior to a single sign-on with all those multiple resources that you had across the district.
Sure. When I had got here, one of our biggest issues that I was hearing about was textbooks. That was kind of our driving force. We had online textbooks, resources with Pearson, HMH, and more, and they weren't really set up and working. And they had tried to manually use CSVs and such in the past, and it kind of worked, and some of them weren't set up at all that way. It was just a headache, and they all still had separate passwords that they had to manage if we did have it set up. So textbooks was really our driving force at first, just because kids weren't able to access them. So that made us want to look at what are our options, and we looked at several choices, and we had liked with ClassLink was that it was very flexible. They would add applications for all sorts of things, and the rostering aspects was huge also for us. Some of the others we have looked at didn't have as much flexibility, and they were more limited, and I couldn't picture us getting all of our apps and resources into there. Our goal was to make ClassLink kind of as a one-stop shop. So kids and teachers don't have to go to lots of different places to access their stuff. They just log into ClassLink and all their main applications are there for them. So having that wide breadth of applications available and the willingness of them to work on customizing them for us as needed.
So what you were hoping to achieve with a single sign-on into a plethora of resources, you've actually been able to achieve with your ClassLink solution, correct?
Yes, it's been really good. I think we will talk about that later, how many apps we've added in there, but it's really grown quickly for us.
Great, good. Yes, we'll definitely want to look at that. So you came on board in the instructional year of 2017-18, and this is your second year of your implementation. Is that correct?
Yes.
So tell us about the implementation process itself when you first began to use ClassLink and share it out to your users.
Well, we made a mistake of actually starting to work on it probably late June when school starts, like mid-August. So we didn't have a lot of time. So it was a lot of rush at first. Support and the configuration people at ClassLink worked with us a lot, and we had to prioritize getting all of our textbooks done first, the rostering and the SSO for the single sign-on. And then once we had all those key ones working at the beginning of the school year, we tried to advertise it out two ways. One was via email to all of our staff, and then we have visited each of our schools at a meeting of the staff, and we got up there and we told them, explained what ClassLink was, why we're using it, and how it would help them, so that they would start using it in their classrooms and understand what it was for.
And so you didn't start with one particular grade band or a certain set of teachers. You rolled it out full force that first year.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
And do you recommend that?
It depends on your needs. Our needs were kind of high, so but rolling it out isn't that bad, really. It's just a matter of making a list of all your applications. Generally, contacted all of our schools, and we made a list beforehand of what's all the applications you guys use, and then we prioritize what ones are used the most and have the biggest needs, and we start working on those first. And we rolled that out everywhere, and I think in our case it worked out well, just because everybody kind of needed it.
Good. Well, we've seen from our end that your usage is high, so I'm really happy to hear you say that you rolled it out that way and that it was successful. And we're going to elaborate on the roster server in more detail later, but for now, can you tell us about the roster server and what your goal was in using the roster server on the back end? Oh yeah,
the one roster server is one of the strong points of ClassLink, because it works to take our information from our Skyward SIS, and it will then connect to all these other applications, Pearson, HMH, Discover Education, and more, and automatically create the student and teacher accounts as well as their classes in there. So instead of having to have every resource has their own CSV formats, we don't have to worry about that anymore. They just support those standards of one roster, and it connects automatically and it updates every night for us. Right now we have 12 apps in there directly in our rostering server right now with our one roster, and it's been a big.
That's so good to hear. So it really has eased the burden of that rostering process on you and your team.
Definitely.
Good, very good. Okay, now let's turn to Della and Deanna as the teachers in this story, and talk to them for just a minute. So how did you first find out? I guess maybe you found out from Jana Lee, but tell us how you first found out that ClassLink was going to be available for you and your students to use.
Sure. I don't remember. I just how we found out. I just remember that I liked it, and I liked that I could add my apps, things I used to it. It was like a little buffet. What I love about it is no longer do I have to run to her and say, what was that thing that I'm supposed to look at? And she'll send me, well, I emailed you, and it's back and forth, because what that is that's lost time. So, and I like that no matter where I am, in the summertime, we go off a lot. I just go click on my ClassLink. I use it anywhere and everywhere. I liked hearing about the parent portal a second ago. I didn't realize about that because I was thinking while we were sitting in here, I forgot my child's password for iStation, and I need to get that from his teacher. But as a parent, I think it's going to help me with that, because, you know, we have all these gazillion things that we use in tools, and that way it makes it quick, it makes it ready, and from sending us all over the place and exhausting our friends, our colleagues, and one another. I just recently had a new student join my class, and I mean, the new kids, they pick up on it. It's like, okay, go to ClassLink, it's right here, it's on our school page, click, 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 and it was, I mean, it comes secondhand to them. I didn't have to stop class and say, here, you need to join this, you need to join this, you need to add this, and overwhelm that student. Now that student feels like they're not so new and they know where to go. And the thing I love the best is, like I said, it's organized. I don't have more stuff on top of my desktop, on top of the stuff that I already have there. It's real easy to use. It's real easy for the kids to follow, because a lot of the questions I think that y'all are asking, it didn't take a lot for us to use it. I didn't have to run to her and have her explain everything to me. I just clicked on it. It was there. I signed in with Google, and I'm not having to do like all these passwords, and I love it.
Great. That's exactly what we wanted you to express. Basically, what I'm hearing you say is that it's intuitive and it's easy to use as soon as you log on. Would that be a correct description?
Yes.
Good, good. So now why don't you tell us about how you feel this has changed the user experience for your students in the classroom?
I feel like it's made everybody on the same page and more organized. They're not having to wait on me, especially in the digital world, because we're all, I'm sure this is the wrong wording, we're all trigger happy. Like, we're ready to click before someone tells us to click. It's like a quest. Somebody wants to find it first, and that gives them an opportunity to go ahead while I'm talking about directions. And that kid that's just a little bit faster, they can go ahead and find their way, and they're already working on something. Well, maybe I need to slow down and talk to someone because they know where to go. And it gives time. I have different levels of students. It gives time for differentiation. It makes that really easy, because I can put a note in their Google Classroom that tells them you need to go here, here, and here. And it's not like, where did you tell me to go? Like what I'm doing to my friend on something we talk about in PLC and planning. It's there. It's easy for us to add things, because all we have to do is send an email to one of our tech people for them to add something to our kids if it's something they use. Say we use Nearpod all the time. They're not having to go to nearpod.com. They just click it on their ClassLink. Now, some of them may choose to go that path because that's their own prerogative. But for the ones like the students who are new, like the one girl I got last week, it wasn't exhausting for her. And it wasn't exhausting for me, because I didn't have to pause things. She was just like, keep it on and keep it on. And it's so second nature that it was really hard today to think about how I use ClassLink. I use it. I use it wherever I go. It's just like turning the computer on.
Great. So you do feel like you're getting a return of some of those instructional minutes that you had been losing before to that quest of URLs and username and passwords.
Yes, I love it.
Good. Do you want to add anything?
I just agree with her. I would spend probably 5 to 8 minutes at the start of class getting kids logged into whatever website I wanted them to go to, because invariably they would say, well, I forgot my password. And so then I would have to go look it up, and then I would figure out, well, okay, I'm going to have to reset it. And so it easily saves me 5 to 10 minutes of class time by just saying, go to ClassLink and go click on that. And so I love the fact that I've got that instructional time back, because we only have them for 55 minutes as it is. And so when you lose 10 minutes, that's a big chunk of your instructional time. So that has really pretty much eliminated that. I can start class the minute they walk in the door now.
That's great to hear, because when you multiply that 8 to 10 minutes per the periods or blocks of instruction that you have, it adds up to a pretty tremendous amount of time each year that is lost. So thank you for quantifying it that way. So now, Janalee, I'm going to ask you to share your screen and open up a teacher's view on ClassLink so we can see what that looks like for your teachers.
All right.
So this is your login page.
All right.
And move that over.
Can you see it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So yes, to talk about the analytics page.
No. Teacher.
Oh, are you? I'm so sorry. Say that again.
Teacher.
Oh, you're wanting to teach.
Yes, we just want to see a teacher view, what their page would look like, how they organize it, if they add any apps themselves, that kind of thing.
Okay. So this is Miss Jordan's ClassLink page, and she, of course, has some of the apps that Mr. Ostracker has pushed out to our district, and then she's also added some on her own. And actually, I'll let her talk about the ones that she might have added.
Yeah, can you talk about or even show us how you add them, and then maybe describe what that library resource folder is?
Yes. Okay. So whenever we want to add an app, we'll just click on the addition symbol, and we also have the Mineral Wells ISD library. And so we have our teachers click on that, and we have them choose the apps that they are needing. And kind of what Della said earlier too is that if there's not an app in there, we can just click on the search icon up at the top, and we can type in an app that we're looking for, or we might contact, the teachers will contact Mr. Ostracker or myself and ask for an app, and Mr. Ostracker would put it in the library for us. The other thing that we're looking at is the library resource, and we saw that in our district we have just a great amount of library resources, and it's so, to make it easier and organized, our librarians and our teachers asked if we could create a folder to house all of these apps. So even our youngest students in first grade, they know that I click on this library resource and I can find the app it is that I'm looking for. So this has been a great help for not only our youngest students who are in first grade, but even our high school students as well. And they're able to find that app that they're needing to locate that information.
That's great to see.
Those library resource apps log on automatically too, because all of them have weird, district-specific logon IDs for library resources. But ClassLink automatically does that, so all I have to do is click on it, and they're into that resource on most of them.
Jana-Lee, could you click on one so we can show our audience what that looks like?
Sure. Let's click on. And so it just does it, let's wait. So it just does it automatically, and then the teacher has access, and they can grab that information and they can put it into their Google Classroom.
Perfect. So for a brief second, we saw that there was a login window, but then we saw the message that the magic was happening, and within a few seconds, the teacher was logged into that specific account. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Can you show us how to log into one that's just on the regular portal, perhaps Nearpod?
Sure.
There we go.
And then she has access to her things, and she didn't have to remember her username and password, and everything's just right there. And the same goes for the students as well.
Perfect. So Deanna and Della, can you tell us about your usage when you're away from school?
I use it all the time because I have a hard time keeping up with passwords because I'm in a gazillion things and I'm just a little all over the place. And so I like it because, like I said, I can sign into my Google. When I use my Remind, I added it on mine for my parents. Like yesterday, I sent out a message for my children so they knew what they were supposed to do, because sometimes they forget. I just clicked on there and I sent it out in Remind, I copy and pasted it, put it in my Google Classroom all at the same time. So that way I wasn't doing something on my phone. It was easy for me to do it all in one place, and it actually took me less time.
So what other devices do you use it on? Your phone, your Chromebook, what?
Everything.
Yeah, phone, iPad,
Yeah, because it's on our district page. So when you get on our district page, I go to ClassLink. I'm sure there's another way, but that's the way I go and it works for me. And I just log in once and it's up.
Perfect.
I'm not emailing her. What was that slide? On top of saving time with her students, it also saves time with, because she runs our department, all the other teachers. We've got a lot of new teachers. We have new teacher meetings, and it helps. It saves time. It's a big thing.
So what I hear, not only is it saving you time, but it's saving her time because none of the other teachers in your department are reaching out to her to help them get into things. Is that correct?
That is correct, because I am that teacher and I am that friend.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Not that I can think of.
No, just it really has been a great tool, and I like it, especially like if we're off campus and I don't have my laptop with me, and say I'm at a training or something, and they have a bank of computers there that I can use. It's easy for me to log on there, and I don't have to remember all of the passwords, and so it's just been a game changer.
Great, very good. So let's talk to your students who you have there. Can you introduce them to us?
This is Evan Kim, and this is Mason Facto.
Hi, Evan and Mason. Thanks for getting out of class today to help us do this. I know you probably didn't want to. Okay, so can each of you, Evan and Mason, tell us what grade you're in?
We are in 8th grade.
We are both in 8th grade.
Awesome. So, of course, you've heard us all talk about how this is helping Mr. Ostreicher and the back end and your teachers get into their stuff. But what we really want to hear is what it's done for you, about how you get into your applications, where you use it, does it save you time, those things. Just share with us your thoughts about what ClassLink has done for you.
Well, it's helped really, it's really organized compared to having papers being thrown at us all the time, because we just have to click a button and all of our work is just right there. And we can access it. We can access it if we're sick and at home, so we can work on it even while we're not there.
Awesome. Evan, how about you?
I would just like to say that one day I was sick and I had a ton of work to do, and I just got on my Chromebook that the school has given me, and I just did it all, and I was fine the next day. Because normally when you're gone, you have so much makeup work to do, and then it's just terrible for the rest of the week, and it's awful. But I got it all done in that one day that I was sick, so I was okay for the rest of the week.
Awesome. Do either of you remember what it was like to find those online applications and resources before you had ClassLink, like when you were in 6th grade? If you tried to use it from home, what was that process like?
It was a lot different. I don't really know. When I was in 6th grade, my mind was not really functional with all that computer. I was used to the old paper and pencil type of deal.
Yes, but when you go to the library and stuff, you had to remember we had separate passwords for everything and different logins, and it was just terrible. It just wasn't good. And I'm glad that we switched to ClassLink. It just makes it so much easier now.
Good. Well, I'm going to ask you one more question, then I'm going to ask you guys to actually log into your student site. But I was wondering about this because I used to be a teacher, and it was sometimes frustrating. Did in the past, maybe you knew how to log into something that your teacher was trying to get everybody to use at the same time, but you had some classmates who didn't remember how to log in or said they couldn't find the link. How did that make you feel during your class time when everybody had to stop to make that work for the other people?
Well, of course it was frustrating because if I know what I'm trying to do, then I need to be doing it because I don't want to have homework, extra work. And it was just frustrating because having to wait on other people who don't remember their passwords, and then say our teachers have to look them up, and then it just wastes a bunch of time, and there's no reason that should be happening.
I understand. I would get frustrated too. So can you guys share with us your login experience and your ClassLink portal?
Yes, ma'am. This is my login. This is just my couple apps. I'm sure the teachers have way more. But this is just what they've given me. I have Skyward. I can look at my grades anytime I need to see if I need to go to lunch tutorials, if I need to get something up. And Pearson Easy Bridge is where all of me and Evan's algebra homework is. And we have a lot. So at home, we get on, we do it, and it's that easy. And it's very convenient, all these apps being here for our usage.
Great. Can you click on one and just show us how easy it is to get into one that you use often?
Yes, this is Pearson. And then you just go to Pearson Realize, click on it. And here's my class, and then I have assignments, and then in progress. This is what I was working on last night.
Awesome.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
love that.
That easy. I just have to keep clicking.
So
That
what
is so good to see. Sorry, David, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
no, I have to say, what is your Pearson login ID and password?
Whatever they give me.
Yeah. That's one of the beauties is they don't care or even know what the ID and password is. It just does it. That's one of the beauties.
Exactly. And the teachers don't know either, do they?
No.
It's magical. It's awesome.
Good. So one thing I noticed, go ahead, sorry.
I don't want to forget, I liked what you said about Skyward and checking his grades, because I've noticed that more of our students are checking their grades now, and sometimes I'm trying to teach class and I have to get onto them for checking their grades, and it's kids that didn't necessarily check their grades before, and it's because it's right there and it's so easy. And so then they know what's going on, and they're asking their teachers for assignments or where's this, where's that, and they're right on top of things.
So it makes them more independent and responsible?
Yes.
Great. So I have a quick question. I noticed that on the teacher page there was a giraffe, and on the student page there was this cliff. How did that happen?
Can you change your background and stuff? Oh, really? How?
You must have done it.
Have I?
Okay, so should we let
Oh,
it's
yes,
over.
you can go to edit mode. Okay, I forgot about this. You can go to edit mode and then choose wallpaper and stuff. And then there's a huge list. You can just keep going through. Like if I wanted, it looks like winter. It's cold right now. All right, there we go.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. Okay, so we're going to move back over to our Janalee and Mr. Ostraker to talk about analytics. And I made mention of it early, but ClassLink on the back end has an analytics application or portal where you can look at usage across the district. Can you share that with us?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, we get a weekly email of the top apps that are in our district, and that's really useful. And whenever we get that, we're able to see, what's going on in our district, what our students are using. And then here you can see my dashboard, and of course you can see our top apps. And right now it's Google Classroom. And so another way that I'm using the analytics is, I think in maybe 2 weeks or so, we're going to have an admin meeting, and I'm going to present to the principals how much the Google Classroom app is being used on their campus. So what I can do is that I can click on the Google Classroom, and then when I'm able to see very specific information about that. And I usually just change it to whatever setting that I want. And then I can scroll down all the way to where I can see the different campuses as well and how Google Classroom is being used on that campus. So that's great information that I can take back to our admin to show them the LMS that we chose for our district and the specific information about that. I can
Awesome.
also, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I just, that's great to see you click through that the way you did.
I can also choose the different schools, and I can click on Mineral Wells High School, and I can go through and see the apps that they're using as well.
And that's by a specific date range? Yeah, it is.
One second. I can choose between either, yesterday, the last 7 days, 30 days. And so one other thing that I also like about ClassLink is that we're able to see the usage on the apps. So let's say that the technology department is having to purchase a specific application. And so with that, we're able to see, is this application even getting used at all? And we can see the usage of that. So if it's not that much, that's something we definitely want to take back to our admin meeting to let them know that, you know, whether this app is great for our students, if it's not, if it's being used, should we pay this or not? So that's another great tool that I like about ClassLink, able to see that information.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm wondering, do you use it to help drive your professional development plans?
Yes, most definitely. So I'm right now looking at Google Classroom, and that's really one thing that I'm looking for all of the teachers in our district to use. And so I'm able to look at even our elementary students. So first grade, they're using the QR codes to log on, and then they just get into Google Classroom with just one click, and it's easy and it works great. And you would never thought that for those younger students that they would be able to do that, but ClassLink makes it so easy that they just put up that QR code, access Google Classroom, and they're in there.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Janalee. So, David, I think now you and I are going to move on to some more detailed information about our roster server and how the open standard used with the roster server has changed what you do to streamline your rostering process to publishers. First, I'm just going to let Marla click through some slides so we can give a brief overview of it. And one of the biggest things that we hear our partners, and I'm sure you'll echo this, Mr. Oestreicher, is that with the roster server, you're able to streamline that rostering process. You're secure in knowing that your data stays secure with that roster server, and you also know that more and more publishers are coming on board and adhering to that one roster standard, which makes you able to roster more and more products.
Yes.
And Marla, you want to go to the next screen? So this is a basic diagram. You can speak to it probably much more clearly than I can, but basically what the roster server does is pull information from your student information system or your HR system or any customized spreadsheet that you need and pull the files that are necessary for the standard to use to then roster into your educational tools, your productivity tools, your management systems on an automated schedule. And why is that the way it is? And we can go to the next slide and see that it's because we had this great group of publishers and educators and industry people who came together with the IMS Global Consortium and actually wrote the standard. And we're in our second iteration of it, and as you can see, some of the first adopters are Houghton Mifflin, McGraw-Hill, and Pearson. But there are more and more really every week that are coming on board and adhering to this open standard. And so the rostering process previous to using the open standard could have looked like this for more than one person. I see you laughing, Janalee. I think you might have had part of this process in your lap. And then with using the roster server, hopefully then it will become more like this. And so David or Janalee, either one of you, can you give us a brief explanation of how you have used the server, what it was like to set it up, what it's done to make things more efficient for not only you, but how it's affected your end users?
Sure. Setting up wasn't bad. Ours ties in with our Skyward SIS, and then overnight it gets an update of all the data from there. Works some magic in our data, and then it's available for all our roster resources. And the roster resources go out later on overnight and pull that in and update their user IDs and their classroom contents based on that. But the great thing is, since one roster is a standard, we don't have to say, oh, HMH how do you guys have to be added, and how do you have to be added, Pearson, and you, McGraw-Hill? All we do is basically go in there, choose a publisher, and it just adds them, and everybody follows all the same standards and rules. So it's really easy and to add a new resource who is following all the standards of the one raster.
So do you have any guess even of the time, the estimation of time that it saved you and your team in getting these resources ready for the first day of instruction?
I have no idea, but a lot of time and a lot of headaches, because manually creating CSVs based on what they want and need for each resource is a major pain, and it takes a lot of time and trial and error, and it pushes back how fast you could add a resource. You know, now we could add a resource in there quickly in the ClassLink pretty quick, but previously you could spend days or more working on getting it working right. So it just makes it much more streamlined and quick and pretty painless. And we even, I had told them I would mention this, even though it's a competing product, but Clever, some of our vendors are a little behind the times, and they will support Clever rostering and Clever SSO, but not ClassLink yet, because they're a little behind the times in their IT area. So we actually have 7 or 8 key resources, Clever rosters, but Clever pulls all the rostering data off of our ClassLink roster server, actually. So we are feeding them out of this one source what they need, and then those Clever apps are embedded in our seamlessly on our screen in ClassLink, and a student clicks on it, and it just goes on and logs them on in the background automatically. They don't even know it's in a separate SSO subsystem, so to speak.
Right. So what I hear you saying is that for those publishers who aren't yet adhering to the standard but do work with the Clever rostering process, you're able to continue to build that roster through Clever, but then make a connection in the ClassLink portal, and no one knows or has to go to 2 different portals. It all still can happen with
Exactly.
that link that happens in ClassLink.
Exactly.
Very good. That's great to hear, because we do hear that from some of our users who say that they've successfully been rostering a few of their products through Clever, and they want to begin to roster more of them using the open standard. But then what do we do with these in Clever? And you've just explained how easy it is to make that happen, and no one has to experience a hiccup because of it. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Great. So we've been on our call now for about 45 minutes, and what I want to allow each of you to do is just share anything you feel like we haven't addressed or asked you to share with us. I know this experience is very individualized from district to district and even from user to user. So if we have overlooked that, I want to give you definitely time to share.
I just want to say, as a technology specialist going into the classroom and helping teachers incorporate technology in their curriculum, ClassLink has been such a game changer for those elementary students because of the quick cards. Because we had lots of teachers, and actually I kid around with Ostracker because I was like, where was ClassLink when I was in the classroom? And so I would have to sit there and I would have to log in my students, and it was such a headache. And now those younger students, they just put up the QR code and it automatically logs them on, and I don't have to have a classroom ID for like Adobe Spark. Those younger students in first grade, they just click on it and it automatically logs them on. So it was really a game changer I see in those elementary classrooms where teachers might have been hesitant because they had to manually log on the students to different applications.
Great. So I have a couple of questions about that I get asked when I show others what the quick card usage looks like. The first one is, how do you manage where those quick cards live or stay or get used by those students?
So their teachers do different things. Some teachers put Velcro on their desk and put the QR code on the desk. Some teachers create poster boards with Velcro on there, and they just Velcro the QR codes on there, and the students just grab it, log it on, and then go put it back up.
And what if they lose one?
Oh, it's so easy. So in ClassLink, all teachers have to do is just open up the app and just print another QR code.
Perfect. And I've heard a lot of ways to do it, but I haven't heard the Velcro thing yet, so I'm going to share that for sure. We're coming to the end of our time, and I want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to add anything we've left off, and then I'm going to just hand it back over to Marla.
One thing I wanted to add that is key for the technical staff especially is the support. ClassLink is excellent on support. You know, we just email them and they're very quick to respond. I email them regularly for on new apps, because sometimes teachers ask us for apps and have yet, or we're kind of a little different. Maybe we do a lot of customizations of our logon apps. We'll have certain passwords like that are used by everybody kind of secretly in the background. So it gets pushed by ClassLink or customized by them, and they will do it within hours. They will email back and have a new app for us, and it just works. You know, so the support is very good, very timely, and very helpful.
Good. We always like to hear that, David. Thank you. Marla, I'm going to hand it over to you, but before I do, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Ostreicher, to Jana Lee, to our two teachers, Della and Deanna, and especially to our two students, Mason and Evan, who took time out of their class today to spend with us. We really appreciate each and every one of you and sharing your ClassLink story.